Presented by That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster, this is Shonen Jumping the Gun, the show where we set our sights on the first chapter of a manga and decide if it's a misfire or a bullseye.
Let's see how many rounds are in this magazine. On today's episode, Reborn as a space mercenary. I woke up piloting the strongest starship.
Welcome, everybody. I'm your methodical, merciless, mercantile mercenary, Moxie the Een, here with my strongest spaceship sensei, Brad. What is the... He's the strongest spaceship. He's Isekai Sensei Sama Brad. Brad, how are you doing being a spaceship?
That's a different manga.
That is a different manga that we did not read. We read this manga, Reborn as the Space Mercenary, because it's a 9, which means we're reading an isekai that Brad has brought to me.
Issa 9.
It's the Issa 9s. Dressed up to the Issa 9s. Brad, you've written the Japanese version of it, and I'm going to let you wade into that if you so desire.
There's a lot of words here.
Yes.
Mesomatera, I think. Mesomatera, yeah. Mesomatera, Saikyo, Sobe, Subi, to Uchu, Uchos,
I don't believe this.
Uchusen Mochi, Datanode, Ikodate, Mezashite, Yohei, Toshite, Jiyu ni Ikatai.
I don't know how many people's mothers you've insulted by saying that, but yes, we are continuing Space Arc through Issa 9s, and that's why we're covering a space isekai. This is
Space-ikai.
A space-ikai, reincarnated in space. Which did we determine if getting transport? I don't remember. It's been so long.
This is a double isekai because he goes to different planets, and he's reincarnated or transferred into this world.
But don't you have to be moved without your own control for it to count as a vague isekai in space?
Yeah.
I feel like if you're just driving a ship around, that doesn't count. I mean, I guess I know we made a scale, but I don't think it passes the, like, you could make an argument, and
so
I think
this is both technically an isekai and
actually an isekai
adjacent.
It's all the almosts. That describes this series. A lot of almosts.
And there's royalty and nobles and stuff in it.
I can't get away from it.
So it's like it's hitting all the buttons.
We took a vacation to space, but it turns out we just brought hometown with us, so we didn't. we just went somewhere else and did the same thing we always did with slightly different dressing. Taking from your notes, there are 8 volumes out right now, which is around 40 chapters. The 9th volume is supposed to come out in July.
Yeah.
Oh, in America, is this coming out in English?
Yeah.
Printed.
There is an official English version of this with 8 volumes currently out.
Wow. What an insult.
The 9th volume is out in
Issa 9's 9th volume.
Yeah.
Yes. And this started back in November 24th, 2019. So it's been going for about 6 years.
Yeah.
A little under 6 years. Okay, let's get into before we get into clearly the axe that I'm grinding, setting on my sights, my patented Moxie's Mox Speed manga summary. Space is dark and cold, lifeless. What would you feel like if you find yourself... Brad, this is way too artful of a writer for this fucking piece of shit manga you've made me read.
Shut up and read it.
Space is dark and cold, much like your heart, my co-host. Lifeless, much like your tastes, my co-host. What would you feel if you found yourself staring into that void as you woke up? Confused, disoriented, disappointed with the choices laid in front of you? I'm sorry, I'm backing on it. What were you doing before you went to sleep? Were you maybe playing a video game? Perhaps that game was a space adventure game. And in that game, you were one of the best players with one of the best spaceships. And now you're actually on that ship. Do you think this is EVE Online? I think this is EVE Online. That is the situation of our our protagoon finds himself in. As he tries to become accustomed to the situation, he finds the situation more dire than expected situation. There is no map available, no money, and just a small amount of food. While contemplating what to do, the warning alarms of the ship suddenly blare to life. The ship is being scanned. A communications window pops up and protagoon is greeted by a pirate. They're demanding he hand over his cargo, but that isn't how this is going to play out. As the pirates don't want to let it go, protagoon takes action and throttles up his ship. Much like I'm going to throttle my co-host later for making me read this. It rockets past the 3 pirate ships, spins around, and opens fire. One ship is immediately destroyed as the second is targeted. The pirates scramble to understand what is happening, but the second ship is already obliterated. The third and final ship turns and fires its own weapon, trying to reverse the situation, but protagoon's ship easily dodges the fire. The second and third volleys disperse pitifully on the shields as the 2 ships pass each other. The pirate ship is finally blown apart. Protagoon sits back, tired and slightly sick from the G-forces. He hasn't woken up from all that, so this isn't a dream. But maybe this isn't so bad. He's got an amazing starship and the skills to handle it. So being a mercenary in real life instead of a game seems doable. He salvages the pirate ships and finds a map. So now he knows where to go to collect the bounty on the pirates. At the spaceport, the systems say that his data is corrupted, so it's time for Protagoon to graduate to his new name, Hero. How very daring, sir. Moving to the next chapter, Hero is now being interrogated. Since his ship had all kinds of rare minerals and metals that must have come from the game, the police are very suspicious, especially since he has no identification. Suddenly, a beautiful military sword lady enters the room, a very apt description for her. After a few short questions, she dismisses the whole thing since there is no evidence of wrongdoing. She also makes somewhat threatening comments about people harassing cargo ships and taking bribes. The guard salutes her and rushes off to complete the necessary formalities. It turns out that she is Serena, the daughter of a marquis, because we can't get away from those in space. Serena stays to question Hero, who explains away his lack of identifying information by claiming there was a hyperdrive accident. Serena isn't entirely convinced and ponders if Hero may be a spy from a rival empire, but this is brushed aside since Hero all but waltzed in the front door. After they part, Hero goes to collect the funds from the cargo bay and bounty. It turns out now that he's quite rich, as long as all he wanted to do was live comfortably. What a concept. In his previous life, he was a miserable salaryman who only found joy in playing the game he now appears to be in, so things are looking pretty good. This is the part where there's a huge expedition done about the game, and therefore this universe is set up in terms of government and geography. Can we call it geography if it's space? Astrography? But now it's time to get the story moving, so Hero goes out to buy supplies. I'm glad your summary matched my thing of getting to the end and just going, fuck this, I don't know, I don't care. I appreciate you capturing my experience. This spaceport is large and impressive, but apparently the section heroine isn't very safe. There are lots of questionable faces about, but Hero is clearly armed, so they scatter. Shortly after, he's confronted by what appears to be an elf. I genuinely out loud said, a motherfucking elf. I genuinely out loud when I was reading it said, a fucking elf? She introduces herself as a fellow mercenary. Hero makes some misogynistic comments about her body for unclear reasons, but the elf woman brushes them aside and says that she's killing time waiting for a job, and she'll show him around as his senpai. Her name is Elma, not Elmo, Elma. Hero is suspicious, but it seems like a good opportunity to learn about how the day-to-day life works in this world. Jesus Christ, Brad.
Okay, wait. Hold on.
Before you start shooting me.
Okay, first of all.
Okay.
When I put this on the list, when we discussed doing this, I've been reading this for a while.
Okay.
I didn't go back and reread the first chapters until I wrote this summary.
Yes.
I apologize. The first chapters of this are terrible.
I want to make sure that I separate myself out from my normal isekai hating self, especially on these 9s. Like, I know it's easy to do that. It's played out. But, like, genuinely trying to go in with an open mind. Jesus Christ, these are boring as fuck.
Yep.
Pages go by that express a singular basic idea across, like, 4 to 3 pages, and it's like...
Yeah.
You're not saying anything interesting. Nothing's happening. We're literally just doing the belt and braces of we're isekai'd now, but like there's not at least the normal like I was kind of miserable and now I'm here. There's no excitement. Like he seems kind of bored and tired.
Yep.
Like I don't know if it was like reading the summary made it seem a lot more exciting and punchier than it was because it's
welcome.
like there's something like like being like, oh, I'm the ace pilot. Like you know what? We read this manga. It was called Space Cobra.
Well,
essentially.
And that's the thing. Later on, and I can't be like, oh, this is it's good because this is Shonen jumping the gun.
Yeah.
But like later on, it is more exciting and interesting, and they go to this planet that's like a hotel planet that is like completely run by this AI system.
That sounds
and
cool.
There's all kinds of cool stuff going on. And then I'm reading these first chapters, I'm like, why? What the fuck is this?
Like it's boring. It's not like trashy. I'm not like, oh fuck. Like I mean, I am oh fuck. It's Protag-kun, but it's just like he's not interested.
Yeah.
The pirate, like nobody has interesting. Nothing looks interesting.
Yeah.
Nothing interesting. Like very little happens across way too many pages. Like it's the truest zero that's ever been. It's not in the negatives. It's not in the positives. It's not. To call this junk food and trash would insult junk food and trash. Like, it's a bland wafer. It's barely flavored air.
I have to imagine that when I started reading this, because I don't remember 100%, but I have to imagine that when I started reading this, I probably read like 10, 15 chapters all at once. And so
you must have. Because, like...
Because I agree. I completely
I'm glad
agree
you're
with
on the
you.
same page, because it's just like, not even like words, because it's like, we're in, like, it's the joy of these sci-fi adventure ones. We're in space.
Yeah.
We can just go somewhere else and an entirely different thing can happen all of a sudden. That's the joy of it.
There's like a war against this pirate group that happens early on that they like basically Shanghai Hero into taking part in because he's got this awesome ship and everything.
Does the pacing pick up?
Yeah.
It has to, because you're excited about this.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just so glad you're in agreement, because it was just like...
So I'm really disappointed because especially, I don't know what happened, but when I was like, oh, we'll do 2 chapters, I must have just looked at the last 2 pages of each chapter and was like, oh yeah, we need 2. Because going through this, I'm just like, this is ridiculous. There's nothing happening.
We could have covered the first 2 chapters and then some in the chapter count of the first chapter. Yeah. And I'm not talking a Shonen Jump first chapter. I'm talking like the 40 to 50 pages this first chapter had.
What was happening in the first chapter that they thought that they were doing, the thing that they thought they were getting people with, was the space battle. But in rereading it,
it's not
a good space battle.
It doesn't look good. Nothing. There's no like moment where you can feel his decision making that leads him to be able. He's just like, he's an ace pilot.
Not to mention, there were a couple points where I was like, wait, what just happened? Because like it's unclear. Like they don't get the movement right and stuff like that of like, oh, this ship is coming in here and it's doing. Yeah,
you have no sense of space.
Yeah.
It's like it's not waxing. Like I've just caught on because like I started reading this and then I'm like I could feel my body changing and I went, I'm going to wait and read this the day we record so it is fresh with me. So I can be like, no, I remember. I've just read it hours ago, and it's like because like they spend 4 pages going, wow, I'm in space, I'm in this, but am I dreaming? And it's like you have to do that. It's an isekai. Yeah. The whole point is the idea, and it's like you jump to the chase of I'm capable, but I've been dropped in this world, but like. They spend forever on it, but nothing is stated or nothing happens. Right. It's not like, oh, I was this in my life, or like, oh, I was the top player on this, and everybody, like, it's not even necessarily like enjoying the power fantasy that I don't like. It's just, like I said, he seems bored and tired.
Yeah. And the thing was, they spent way too much time explaining, like, here's how the currency works, and this is when you go and you do mining and or this is where you pick up car, and it's just like,
fuck, if I wanted to play a video game, I'd play a video game because then I wouldn't need to have as strong writing because then I'd be playing a game and like, I'd have decisions.
I don't mind that stuff in there, but what I do mind is when they dump it all at the same time instead of stringing it out, because I think what they're doing is they're trying to hook the video game players, the people who are like,
bullshit.
I'm taking a break from playing my video game for 100 hours a week.
So I'm going to
read this thing, but I want to still be playing the video game, but I'm not allowed to for some reason.
But you can do that and have a good story. There's one in particular is coming to mind of long ago, and there's still a couple now on the Something Awful forums that I still haunt as a lurker because I loved the Let's Play thread. And people will sometimes do screenshot Let's Plays where they're playing a game, but they will like write the characters like as like a story that they have written, like, but with the mechanics of the game in mind. And there's one, I think it was called Gazillionaire. I don't remember, but it was like a simple old Windows game about having your spaceship and flying between planets, like buying cargo in one spot and selling in another. And it was this like big story of these like two friends who like were working at like a dead-end burger job who just like all of a sudden got into it, and all of the like trials and tribulations of that, like, and also like literally going over, teaching you the mechanics of the game and going over it as the Let's Play was going on. And that was amazing. And that was the thing that could capture the video gaminess, but also gave me like a story that had literally any emotional depth at all, even a little bit. And it's just like chapter 1 is the most just like, oh my gosh, do something. Like, give me, I'm scrabbling at the walls for the normal isekai power fantasy even. I don't even feel like I'm like, yeah, a little bit.
Right.
Like, he doesn't even feel that cool, but he should.
I guess it's not until, it's probably chapter 4 that he rescues the other girl who is actually the first one that stays with him.
Okay. The other two are just like...
Well, Elma here, like, goes away and then comes back later, and the Serena doesn't go with him at all, although she keeps chasing after him. And that's an actual interesting relationship, because she's obviously interested in him, and he's like, I don't want to deal with all that bullshit.
Yeah, I get it. Like, when she shows up in that room, I was just like, fuck! Why? Why are you that designed? We're in space!
Oh, actually...
And then when the elf shows up...
So, no, this is
fucking
cool.
Elf practice?
The thing with the swords is actually really interesting. You know how, like, in Dune, they have, like, the shields? You probably don't even know this.
I don't.
They have, like, shields that are on stuff, and so you can't use regular guns because they're like kinetic shields or something. And so to get through the shields, you have to go slowly. So everybody uses knives and stuff because you got to like push through it. If you shoot a gun or something, it just...
A single point, right. But you need continuous.
And there's a similar thing that they do in this with the swords, where it's like nobles and stuff use swords because the swords... I forget exactly what it is.
Is it like a vibroblade?
I think it might be
Wars?
Something like that. So it's like there's an actual use for the swords. There's a reason people have it. There's a part later on where they have to fight this noble, and they have mech suits in this thing. And Hiro goes in with his mech suit.
Cool.
And he's going to fight this noble, and he's just going to shoot him. And the noble like closes the distance so quickly and like cuts his gun in half. And it's pretty cool.
So this was a light novel.
Probably.
By the naming of it. I wonder if in writing that opener makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because in a manga, when you're just trying to wax poetic, but you're also not waxing poetic, you're just kind of like stating the situation across 4 pages and everything, where it's just like, even in later stuff in chapter 2, like just there are certain things that take so much longer than they should of people just back and forth and restating the same things. And it's just like, I'm curious what my, like, I don't think I would have liked it still, but I think my feelings on it would be a lot better if it was just, I don't even, like, punchier implies that it was like at a normal pace and it should get punched up. This thing is a snail.
Yeah. And
that's an insult to snail, is to call this a snail.
And it's one thing to have slow pacing and have it be deliberate and purposeful.
But it's not.
It's not.
There's nothing,
it's
there's
literally
not doing
just
anything. It's not,
paced.
it has no idea. It's not stating any new idea. It's not creating an emotional tone or vibe.
Right.
It's just boring chatter.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's just like the artist didn't figure out how to get this right in manga form in the beginning. Like they tried to go to the book, maybe.
Right.
Like either that or just like the localization that we had didn't capture some extra nuance, or just maybe it's just this bland. I don't know.
I appreciate you thinking about it.
I'm this, because this is one where I'm just like, and you saying it heats up more, because it's like, I know with a lot of the isekai it's just like I'm getting stuck on my own prejudices, but in this case it was generally just like, oh my gosh, this is storytelling 101. Yeah. What are you doing?
And not to say that it doesn't have some dumb isekai bullshit in it, because it does.
It can have that. That's what makes it junk food. That's why I said these first 2 chapters, to call this trash or junk food is an insult to trash and junk food.
And I literally called this out in the summary. Like, he meets Elma and immediately makes a comment about her breast being too small. And
Yeah,
like
and
it's in response to something she said that
but
was
it's
a little.
why would you, as the author, it's like, why would you put that in? Like, there's not, like, why? And it's like, I don't know why that pisses me off more than like all of, and maybe just because Space Cobra's a fucking granddad, but like Space Adventure Cobra is like, he spends that entire page in panels ogling this woman.
The reason is
but I think it's because he's hot blooded.
It's campy.
Yeah,
Space Adventure Cobra is
B
campy,
movie.
and so you're like, you allow that because it's like, of course, this whole thing's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's grindhousey.
In this
B-movie.
one, it's sort of very straightforward. He talks that whole time with Serena without being.
And it's not there at all. And it's like, why
asshole.
when this fucking space elf
Right.
shows up? And it's like, why did you do that?
It was just really
wasn't
out of the
needed.
blue. And so
it
I
didn't
was like,
fit the tone. Like if he was like a goo guy from the beginning, I could like it. Like you said, it just comes from nowhere. So I guess like I mean, you said a little bit where it goes, and the idea, like, that's the thing. It's like you can have space adventures. Like I guess it picks up. Like I'm curious. I don't think I'm curious enough to. I guess I'll want you to describe to me more things that happen, but just like this first.
I was just thinking
these first 2 chapters inspire zero confidence.
we're gonna have to do a mag dump on this.
I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm going to mag dump into both of our heads with this gun that I have. I don't think I've ever read something where I was just like, this is a food that I don't like and it's rancid, but never of just like, your cooking skills are rancid.
Yeah. If I had to make a food analogy here, it's like, this is something that got cooked too long, so
or not,
like,
but also not cooked enough.
Well, no, but it's burned on the outside. But on the inside, it's good. But like, you present it to someone, and they're like, "Why do I want to eat this burned food?"
Well, no, he figured the later chapters is when they figured out how to do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying
you
these
take
first
the
2
burn stuff on the
meal
outside
of the first
off.
2 chapters is the outside is burnt, but the inside is undercooked. So the whole thing is just like, what's happening?
My analogy, the whole
you're eating. Yeah, but I've only
series
eaten the first 2 chapters.
Right.
This is my meal, but to your meal, it's just the burnt outside bit. So, the art is fine. It's workmanlike.
It's generic.
It's workmanlike derogative.
The some of the vistas are pretty good. The
space
thing
is fun
with the spaceport, like space station thing,
where he makes
pretty
a point of it
cool.
being beautiful. Yeah. Like that's like. This would have been so easy. This should have been such a slam dunk. I genuinely did think, and I don't know if it is, and I'm very curious if it has a footprint over in Japan, of EVE Online. I think about it. This made me think of EVE Online. I'm sure there's other space sci-fi stuff isn't my bag. I know there's a lot of stuff about it. I know somebody in particular who loves space things. No, we did an arc about sci-fi. Admittedly, most of it was spacey, but like this kind of more sci-fi, like the kind of economicalness of things, is not my bag. So like all I really know about is Eve. But also like Eve is fascinating. Like I read an entire book about like, do you know about Eve Online?
I tried to play it once.
I've never touched it. I have zero interest in ever touching it. But like hearing about the insane player-led things happening. Yeah. But this book that I bought and read was like fascinating of like the I've lost the word I want, but like that the groups, the factions would form, and specifically like where they were in the world would affect their power because they were awake at certain times or asleep, or like people had to call off of work or go into work early or late, and like subterfuge happening and people like sneaking in and having alts, and like generally like moments that are mythic where it's just like we don't actually really know what happened here at this point.
I mean, it has,
and nobody either remembers or they're not telling us.
It has its own in-game economy that is like a real economy that is affected by the real world, like our world, outside world,
like,
because
that's what makes it
there's
fascinating.
exchange rates
and
with
that's what
USD.
I thought maybe with this, because it's just like, and you can be a mercenary in that one, and literally your entire, like, you can kind of move stuff around, but you can also just fight pirates or be a bounty hunter, and like that's fascinating. And this is just a huge bland disappointment. More interesting things and better pacing, less of whatever, less space elf tit ogling.
Yeah. Or lack of.
Or ogle it, but have more fun with it. Have everybody be more fun. Have more fun. That's my prerogative to this, even though it sounds like it starts doing that. Is have more fun.
You know what I think that was? I think that was the author knowing more about that character than our protagonist does and putting their own thoughts into it, because she is like not a good person and like an alcoholic and stuff.
The elf?
Yeah.
Okay.
So thinking about it now, I'm like, oh, the author was like, this person, like, but Hero just met her. Like, he has
Yeah,
no
we don't
idea.
know. And also, I
So,
don't care
like,
about Hero. And now I'm seeing a fucking elf. I hate elves, if that wasn't clear, in general. So, yeah. Brad, do you have anything else to go? This feels short, but, like, I don't know.
There's dwarves later.
Of course.
The dwarves are, like,
We're in Warhammer.
really into making spaceships.
Yeah, no, that... yes. How daring, sir.
The dwarf women don't look like dwarves. They look like little girls, and that's a huge problem.
I thought you were going to say they had beards, and I was going to celebrate that.
No.
Wow, coward. Brad, you're not helping this manga beat the allegations.
Well, yeah.
of being very, like, lacking in ideas.
I actually went on a bit of a tirade the other day on the Shonen Flop Discord because there was another series that I read that introduced a dwarf and as a little girl, and it's like, no, I'm a fully grown adult.
Stop
and I'm
doing
just like,
that.
you fucking
Make them look like the men, but slightly different. Give them beards. That's what female dwarves are supposed to have, beards. I know they're space dwarves, but come on.
When they do it with elves, I'm sort of like, okay, whatever. But when they do it with dwarves, it's like,
how different do elves? I feel like, what is a male elf to a female? I feel like male elves are already kind of femmy, that the female one is just
I mean, like when the female elf looks young.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, elves in general do that. So, yeah, but yeah, I get it.
No, this is what...
like children.
The problem with the dwarf one is that they're doing it as a stand-in for a lolly. And that's what... it pisses me off. Because they're going... It's the new version of the 1,000-year-old dragon little girl.
I don't think it's new, but I think it's in that oeuvre. It's in that grand library of sneaky pedo shit that just turns my fucking skin.
Yeah.
Why?
And
not needed. You don't need it.
The thing that makes it worse is when they act like a little kid, even though they're like, I'm an adult. It's like,
okay, not what's happening. Pitching character that they're like 100 years old, and they're literally just trying to get to like suss out pedos, and then they just send them to prison, and it's a bit, and they're just really hard boiled.
Yeah. I've seen a couple where it's like, oh, I'm really old, but I look like a little girl, but also I'm full of vitriol and fuck you, and like they're like nasty.
It's really
people.
funny,
and it's like, okay,
there we go.
I'll let that one slide.
I'll let that one slide because it's just this is a yes.
Yeah.
Shoot, what was I'm thinking of a line from a play that I had to read a little bit in my acting class. I don't think it was a tsunami. It seems like you were having a seizure of venom, I think was the line, or something to that effect. And it's just like the harshest line my character says in the entire opening scene, where he's trying to be very just like, what's going on? Like very diplomatic, and it's like he can't help himself. But yeah, no, this is my feelings on this. I'm making a new category that is angry video game nerd. Angry video game nerd swears.
Not that you need it or have ever requested it, but I'm giving you a complete pass on this one.
Thank you.
Because
I appreciate getting a stay of sentence.
Like, a lot of times I'm like, oh, you're being too harsh on it.
And a lot of times you're right.
But this is
a case where I'm standing my ground, that I can exit my body, look down on it, and go, no, this is pissing me off for very functional reasons, and it shouldn't be like this.
Yeah.
Where are you at? With only having, I want you to give me your thinky thoughts and your feely feels for both the 2 chapters we read and how you feel about the series as a whole.
That's
where you're at. Are you
do.
caught up? As much as you can?
Yeah,
okay, cool. Yes, that is what I want. That is a compelling thing to talk about.
I will start off. I'm going to start off with just these first 2
Thank you.
chapters.
That's where you should start.
My thoughts on this, my thinky thinks.
Yeah.
This is bad.
Thank you. I bless you, sir. I bless you. I'm so happy that we can be in agreement.
There are some things in here where if I had only read these 2, where I would be like, maybe,
and had to stop and think on it instead of just having the momentum.
And it was like, oh, there's going to be more chapters. I'd be like, I'll probably check them out and see if something's different. But like with just these 2, no, this is bad.
And it's not like we didn't get enough.
I'm not going to say really bad.
Okay.
But it's not good. So
Yeah.
My feelings on it.
Yeah.
I think. I think I'm at the same place with
okay,
bad.
good. I thought you were going to say fine, which
no.
sure would have been fine. I guess I don't know.
I was disappointed rereading. these chapters.
I'm glad. I'm so curious because normally when you're like it gets better later, it's usually that I have to overcome my own isekai prejudices to keep going, and by and large it's just like this isn't for me, but I get it. Like that's what a lot of these I can exit my body and go, this isn't for me, but I get it. And this was one where I couldn't do that.
I think the full series ongoing.
There we go.
And probably within the first volume, but maybe like the first two, is good. I think it's good.
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily go to great objectively.
I'm genuinely fascinated about like I couldn't finish the second chapter because I was already like really waning about everything, and then when the lore dump came, I was just like, thank goodness Brad's right in the summary. I can't do it.
Oh, you didn't even get to the misogyny?
I think I scanned. I think I misread it. My scanning of it, I thought it was that she thought he was ogling and that he was not ogling at all. But
yes,
then I
that's how it started.
Again.
And then he just said, "Hey, you have small tits."
Okay,
it's like, what the fuck?
I scanned. I did not even read. I was just so full of like, I can't do it.
And that was the thing is like you could have done that in a way where it's like, how dare you look at me? And it's like I wasn't
looking.
Except it was more like, how dare you look at me? There's nothing to look at.
Yeah. But if he was a more fun character,
right.
he could have gotten away with that.
Yeah.
But he's not. He's just tired and lame.
Now,
does he get better? Does Hiro get better?
Yes and no.
Does everything around? And when I say better, I guess I mean more interesting or compelling.
Yeah.
Not like does he become a better person?
So the characterization that he has right now is basically what he keeps, except it works better with the things going on around him.
Okay.
It makes more sense. And again, I think I'm going back to, I think the person who adapted this knew where everything was going, and they put too much of that into the beginning.
Okay.
Now, my feelings for the entire series are great. There's all of the things that I like are here. So
interesting. Oh my gosh. I've never been at like a more cross purposes of just like I can't keep going and like I want to know. I want to know where to.
I think it's
that's why it's fascinating. It's why I lurk in Shonen Jump manga threads of ones I'm not reading to see like does it turn ever? Does it get its feet underneath it?
Now I will say
the answer is no. Astro Royale would never get its feet underneath it.
I did do the same thing. I got to the exposition dump and I was like, and then there was an exposition dump.
I know when you did that.
Moving
I was
on.
Like, thank God.
Because I was just like, it did a similar thing before with like the game world kind of stuff, explaining things, and I didn't even really put that in the summary. I just sort of glossed over it because it was like
uninteresting,
1 page or something,
and not important.
But this one was like 2 or 3 pages, and it was just like, this is stuff you can find out later.
Yeah,
why are you doing this right
like,
now?
I don't think you're not the prettiest one at the ball. Like, I'm not going to talk to you to learn about all your lore. You've shown your social skills to be very poor.
And you can do this diegetically too, because
we just had the Naruto mag dump where he threads it all in immaculately.
No, but there were dumb pieces there where like explaining things that these children should know already because they went through school. But he doesn't know anything about this world, so someone explaining it to him would make perfect sense. Instead, he's just like reading it on a tablet.
Like in the most uninteresting way possible.
Yeah.
There's no stakes. It's just bad storytelling.
Yes.
Fuck no, I'm not buying this. Fuck no.
I wouldn't buy this off the first 2 chapters.
No. I say I'm going to read more, and I might just speed scan just to know, because you saying it gets like notably better, and that the fact that you're saying it's notably better, and that we're in agreement on these first 2 chapters is what makes me just, because this has never happened before.
The problem is that I didn't keep reading So I'm not sure where it is.
I feel like I might, and it's like I have enough other manga that like I want to actively read,
Yeah.
so it's just like, once this is done, I'll forget about it, and then I'll listen to this episode and I'll think about it, and then I'll probably forget about it the time I get home that I could do something about it. So, such is the way of things. Do we have anything else we want to cover? I feel like I want to wring a little more blood out of this stone. I feel like we haven't given them enough.
There's not much going on here.
The best thing I can do is just compare and contrast with Cobra. Like Cobra
didn't even get off the planet yet, so
no. But Cobra is his own plights. When he's waxing poetic, you feel that thing of like, well, yeah, sometimes you're just fucking busting your hump.
Yeah.
And you'd like to have a fun adventure and not just like, I am a very sterile, basic human and I work and I come home and I play EVE online and that's it.
He sort of got there where he was like, oh, I don't want to go back. This is what I want to be doing.
Even the way they did that was very like the most boring and uncompelling way they could do it. Like there are pieces here that could have been interesting and they just somehow always chose the most boring, bland way to go about it. And I think that's where a lot of my frustration comes from. Like, this is rancidness via blandness. This tastes like nothing. These are genuinely 100% empty carbs.
Yeah.
I'm full on air.
Yeah.
How do we end this show? I forgot. I've been consumed with my own seizure of venom.
Well, I was just trying to remember if there are any key points later on that I should bring up.
You should dangle.
I talked about the hotel planet.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating. That sounds so cool.
When he's on the hotel planet, he gets a combat maid that's like
a robot.
Like the AI builds him this AI maid.
Cool.
That he gets.
Is he building a harem? Be honest.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Question yourself truly.
So, Elma, and then the second girl, who's technically the first girl.
Sword girl?
No. Again, she's not. I mean, maybe later.
Yeah.
Past where I'm at now, but like, no, because she wants to be, but she's not allowed.
Reincarnated in another world where I'm banned from the main character's harem.
And to be fair, they do take it pretty slowly, in like building up to, hey, I think we want to be in a relationship. So it's not like some isekai where it's just like, here's a girl for you to have.
That's what it felt like when I first met, where it's just like when you just have like old man, and then it's like she arrives and she has all the power and she says all the right things and she finds Hiro-san very interesting. Aha.
Well, no, I think that relationship is what works out really well, because she keeps going. He's interesting and he's a really good pilot and he's got this cool ship and I'm interested in him. And hey, Hiro, you did really good. I'm gonna, make sure you get
twirls
rewarded
my hair.
for
Oh my
this.
gosh.
And then he's like, okay, cool, see ya.
Thanks, babe.
And she's like, wait. And then at some point, like, they are going to a different planet and she like comes up with an excuse to go after him. And she shows up and he's like, oh shit, this girl again. So there's some subversions there that are interesting.
There's interesting things happening.
I talked about fighting that noble. I think the noble was attacking the hotel planet, and there's this whole thing where like the AI is like defending the planet and everything, and there's a lot of cool stuff with that.
Neat. Okay.
And then there's a whole thing about like the suits,
Galactic
because
War,
obviously
the mech suits.
you're flying around in space, but what do you do when you're on a planet? And it's like, oh, they've got these mechs. I guess they're mechs.
Does he
they're
build
more
a
like
crew
suits,
at all?
but...
Does he build a crew, or is he just building a harem?
Yeah, so the girls are
the
like,
crew.
So the Elma is an actual, like, she can pilot.
Yeah.
So the other girl, I don't think she's piloted anything, but like she learns really quick and all that. So like, I think she does like the navigation and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like they're actual functional members of this crew.
It's the thing when you have a ship. It's the same thing with the pirate thing. It's just like, hey, you get more crew members on your ship.
Right. So
there's isekai where you're a pirate and you just get your crew. It's just girls you find places and recruit to work on your ship.
Actually, I don't think I've read a pirate isekai.
Pirate arc
There's plenty of isekai that have pirates in them, but they're never like the main characters.
Being a pirate is fun. That's a great. I would love to get isekai as a pirate.
The time I got reincarnated as Davy Jones.
Yo ho ho. Maybe pirate arc.
Oh shit! Not that one. Now I'm a monkey.
Incoming pirate arc ? Ends in One Piece Magdum ?
We'd have to find
things
other than One Piece.
5 other pirate manga. Hopefully, one of them being an isekai. So I said ? Okay, I think we've done enough. We've inspired pirate arc now. So, Brad, shoot me full of a laser. Put your phasers to what's the word that I want?
Set your phasers to plug.
There we go. Set your phasers to end credits.
Well, as always, we want to thank Sugoi Mart for partnering with us. Sugoi Mart's a retailer of Japanese snacks, drinks, toys, and merch. They have all kinds of cool stuff you can't get outside Japan. Our listeners can use the link in the description or use code APR15 at checkout to get 15% off their first order. We want to hear from you, so check out our social media presence and come chat with us. You can find all the links for that stuff on our website, animepodcasterreincarnation.com. We've got a Discord where you can chat with us, as well as all the other social media platforms, which we're not really actively on, except, I guess, Blue Sky to some extent at this point.
Okay.
But yeah.
Discord is the place. If you want to talk to us, come to Discord. We're fairly OCD on checking notifications and responding.
You can also find links to our Patreon up there. Our supporters get perks like getting to vote on what series we cover on heroin addiction, bonus episodes, and getting the high-quality stereo version of the podcast early. And, of course, we want to hear from you. What kind of perks would you like? And, of course, we have to shout out our patrons. So, first and foremost, we have our Space Marquee.
Space Marquee, even in space, everyone can hear you, Marquee.
At our noble tier,
everybody can see
our
you, Marquee.
Space Marquee, Cake Dwarf.
Cake Dwarf.
At our Reincarnator tier, we've got Moon, and last but not least, at our Commoner tier, we've got Rena and Kill Hour. Thanks so much to all our patrons.
Thank you for that. Thank you to our patrons. Thank you, Brad, for the plugs. Thank you for everybody for listening. As you do, make sure you listen to all the various podcasts on our feed. And Brad, the space podcast is over. Let's get in the space car and go out to space ramen so we can also get space takoyaki and drink space cola. I guess I don't need to do any startup lines on it because the whole title is already its own startup line.
Yeah, that's probably
because sometimes because I was like because I had like co-writes like it's adventuring across the galaxy. It's just like it's a light novel title. It's gonna be like that anyways.
On today's episode, Reborn as a Spurs mercenary.
Okay, Coach Z. The energy was good. Just don't become Coach Z.
So is it Strongest Starship, or is it Strongest Starship?
Strongest Starship. The way. Thank you to them. Thank you once again, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Brad, for the plugs. Make sure you listen to all the podcasts on our feed. And I thought I had an ending bit and I didn't have one. I was gonna do the Space Australia bit from DBZ Abridged. Yeah. DBZ Abridged, an ATM machine. But like, there's no reason to bridge to that. I think I'm just gonna do. Okay, no wait. I'm gonna do the run for the last because it runs into it. So I'm gonna say. I just need you to say the word space to me now.
Space Pope.
Thank you. I didn't know what ball you would hit back at me, but I knew
there's a lot to pick from.
I knew you'd get something.
It's space. We're in space.
Want to go to space? Want to go there?
Space.
I used to listen to those. It was that one, and it was the Adventure Core, and there was another one. I don't remember what the other one was.
There's like 6 or 7 of them in there.
Because there was the space one, and there was 3 other ones. I think one just said baking ingredients, but sexily.
Yeah, that was the
maybe
it
was
was
maybe I'm just
cake,
maybe it is only
it?
3. Maybe I'm only thinking of Space Core and Adventure Core. Happy Explosion Day, gorgeous. And then I think they're like all Nolan North.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Like a big arm muscle. Tension and power. I gotta re-listen to those. A lot of that probably lives in my brain more than I think. Do you want to hit stop and go?
I do.
I'm much more excited to do these next 2 episodes.